joining us now in the Sevens Club, played for Wrexham at TST last year. Lee Trundle, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Pleasure, my man.
You were on a short list of guests that we absolutely had to get on as soon as possible because of the way you captivated the audience at TST last year with Wrexham. I want to start there. You come to America. You're part of the Wrexham team. What was your experience like at TST last year?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I think first and foremost, the way they set this the tournament up, everything was brilliant. And I know it was the first time that they had it. So usually you will have a few, setbacks, but everything what they done in the tournament was brilliant. The coverage that they had on the TV, the quality of the pitches, the fans, the way it was set up, the tournament was brilliant, and I really enjoyed playing in it. And I was surprised at the quality that was in it as well. When I first come, I thought it was going to be a bit of a, like a few older players, younger players mixed in. But, the quality of the teams that were there, was very good.
Yeah, the standard was surprisingly like, it was like you didn't really know what to expect. And I would say like the biggest adjustment for through my experience was dealing with the futsal guys and the indoor guys, because it was completely different, where we weren't changing, they're subbing, and we're like, wait, there's 4 more guys. Oh, wait, they're changing again. It's like at one point we were just sat there for like 15 minutes. We didn't even do a sub. And we're like, all right, we're breathing on our asses here. Like, we got to make a sub.
Like, with the, you say football and you think like 11 aside, 5 aside, 7 aside. It's all the same, but it's completely different on like your formations that you play, where your goalkeeper is that extra player coming out as well. And what you say, Jeff, where they were making the subs as well. Sometimes they were making a run down the line as though they were going to go. And someone else take them in. So it was getting used to it, but like it was great to watch. To see how the formations and how tactical it was as well in the 7-a-side. I'd probably say the 7-a-side is probably more tactical, because you can't get away with leaving a man, or in 11 times you can go 2 players on 1 man and try and smother players like that. But in this, because it's so fast and the movements, you've got to stay 1-on-1 really. So I was really impressed with the standard.
Well, I mean, you were dropping goals in there for sure, man. Target 4, boom.
Yeah, I think the concept of it as well. At the start, we were thinking, why would you do that if you're 5-0 up? And then, but it keeps the game always in. 100%. So then what happens then, if you've got with the games, no one then wastes time. So you've got to always put and try and go and score goals, because, we went in against Como 2-0 down into added time and won 3-2.
Yeah.
So, I think for the fans watching, that's great entertainment. But for the players involved as well, that you've always got that chance to carry on. So games never died out.
Yeah. And that's the hardest part of being like on the other side. You're like, oh, I'm up 1-0, like, sweet. Oh, we got target time. And then I'm like, you don't really want to give yourself a little bit of space to like, all right, I'm not going to make that run. I got to be a little bit safe, because you don't want to expose yourself. And then all of a sudden they go 1-1. You're like, oh, then it's shit, anybody's game now. So, I mean, it's pure entertainment. And it was just awesome, man. It was really incredible.
Brilliant. And I think when you were going into target time leading, you were the one that were more worried, because you think, well, game target, start worrying more than where you should think, listen, we're in the lead, let's just relax.
Yeah.
You worry more, but it was great entertainment to play.
So something that was a little different for you, you were at Wrexham in 2001 to 2003, but you weren't a part of Wrexham under this crazy American spell that Wrexham is under right now. And you got to see it firsthand with the fans really coming out and supporting. What was it like for you to see those Wrexham fans in America supporting you?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I think if you put it into perspective, I think the year that we got promoted to League One with Wrexham, that was the one just below the Premiership. The 2 strikers, me and Andy Mirel, both went on free contracts. So the club didn't renew our contracts. And you think, You know, you've just been promoted. Where now, you know, the way the boys are doing it, Ryan and Rob, you know, the fans that they've got, the fan base. And I think the way they use their social media as well is excellent. But they don't only do that. They get involved with the football club, and you can tell that, you know, you can tell that there's love there, you can tell there's passion there. And that then goes on to the players, that goes on to the fans. And going into the tournament, you know, we'd look around and most of the stadium was all red supporting Wrexham. And you think of the big,
right.
like, you got West Ham, you got Wolves, you know, big Premier League sides, and then you've got little old Wrexham, and you've got most of the fans there. So it was unbelievable to see, and it's great for the football club to see them come on and be back in the professional league.
But and it's good because for it over here, that the Netflix series and all that, like, it gave the average American or maybe just a non-football fan, soccer fan, something to kind of be a part of, or like, oh, I can get behind that. Oh, that's a really, really interesting story. And now all of a sudden they're Wrexham fans and like they're following the teams. And like, that's what developing football and the culture in this country, it's going to get there. Obviously we're not there yet, but I mean, my time over in the UK, it was incredible. From you're playing non-league teams to Premier League clubs, you got fans there, and they're passionate, and they support their teams, and it's amazing to see how the effect that Wrexham has over here already, and it's just going to continue to grow and grow, because I have no doubt they're going to do another season because it's the inside stuff.
Well, I think it's great because, you know, in any sport, everyone loves the underdog. So you love that lower team. And, you know, probably calling Wrexham the underdog when they were in the National League is probably wrong because of, you know, the financial ability that they had. They had a lot more than any other club in that league. But still, you know, you look at a club that's had the history that Wrexham have had, you know, going back into being a professional club all that time, you know, beating Arsenal in the FA Cup and then dropping out of the league. You know, it's a sort of comeback where everyone loves. When you're watching it, you want them to do well, you want them to win, you want them to achieve that. And, you know, it was brilliant that last season that they done it, and it's fair play to everyone who's involved in the club.
Absolutely. Another thing that was unique, because you had a unique aspect for you where you're playing in America, and then it's unique because it's 7-on-7, and then it's unique because you got the Wrexham fans watching you. And then we're going to throw Lee Trundle one more wrinkle. You're going to play a women's team in a real game, real refs, with money on the line. Jeff, you'll probably be able to speak to this too, but Lee, what was that mindset for you in that game like? And, you know, you had Heather O'Reilly before the game saying, we're going to beat your Wrexham team, to Ryan Reynolds. And I know you were laughing and smiling as you are now, but what was that experience like?
You know, for me, I approached that in the same as I approached any other game, because it's a tournament. They're in your group, so you've got to go out and you. I think you know, speaking to a couple of the ladies after it, you know, they said thanks for carrying on and playing properly. Where, you know, you could have got in the lead by a couple of goals, and then you could have started doing stuff what you wouldn't do in normal games, or messing about. You know, we kept it professional and kept on playing and kept on, you know, playing to our ability. You know, the scoreline obviously was a big scoreline in it, but I think if you're going to go into these tournaments, you've just got to take it as in, go and play the game and go to win it. And, you know, respect to the girls, especially the goalkeeper, she made some amazing saves. She kept them like in the game at good periods of it. But, you know, obviously we just grew a bit stronger and managed to come away with a really good win.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're there to win the tournament. So it's like the same. And it's interesting. Like I would say Heather O'Reilly and the girls team, like their mindset was probably the same thing. They wanted to win the game and go in. Obviously it's a bigger feat. It's an adjustment for them, but just like any professional, or they have that competition ingrained in themselves, and they're like, I want to win this game. And that's the same thing with you lads, and same with our team. And it's just that obviously it's different, you know, and maybe you're not going to go in as hard as a 2-foot tackle, but you know, you got to be a little bit more conscious. But no, I mean, like, it was definitely fun, entertaining to see you and Heather O'Reilly talk some trash before the match. So, yeah.
It was good, yeah. And even on, like, obviously when I play, I probably am a lot more physical than, and so side of the game against the ladies team, I did tone that down because
Yeah, you had to hold back a little bit.
yeah. But on football wise and play chances to score and stuff, everything else is exactly the same.
Yeah, and I think it just shows you the different, the levels essentially between the men and the women. And like, there's no different. They have some really, really good players. Just, I mean, the pace a little bit, the athleticism, the intensities, a bit different from the male to the female game. So I'd say that would be the different thing. But because there was girls that were really good players that playing on men's teams, and they were balling. So it's just different speeds, really.
Definitely, I do think because like ability wise and everything, what the ladies have got and technical and technique, they were very good, as you say. It's just that little bit of speed and that power what makes the difference.
Yeah.
My last TST question for you is, I mean, when you look at your career history, you have a lot of teams that you've played with and a lot of teams that you've been affiliated with, and now you're an ambassador. How did Wrexham reach out to you? What relationship do you have with that team that you were, not just on the short list of players that they reached out to for TST, but you were kind of, the focal point of the attack for that Wrexham Red Dragons team. So what was that reach out to you like? And were you excited when you first heard that you had that opportunity?
Yeah, I was very excited. Obviously, Wrexham was my first professional club, so that's where I started in the professional game with Wrexham. So my strike partner at the time, Andy Morell, he works a lot with Wrexham TV, does a lot of things, and then the manager asked him, would you think of any players who could come along? And Andy then said my name. So then we got in touch and we sorted out. But as soon as they asked me to do it, 100% I wanted to go and play, even apart from, Wrexham was the team that gave me my chance in professional football. And that was my start off. I think everything what's around the club now, the excitement and when the boys have come in and what they're doing to transform the club back again, I think everything was perfect. I'd watched the documentary myself as well and enjoyed it. So I was looking forward to go and represent Wrexham once more.
But to be honest, man, kudos to Wrexham for recognizing that, who you are and what you're a part of, essentially. We're giving your first opportunity to play your first, as a youngin, and going in the professional ranks. And then obviously years later, seeing your, hey, you want to come back to the club and be a spokesperson. And it just shows you that, that people do have vision and care. You wear the badge and you're part of that history and that club, and you have a place. So kudos to them, man, because I think you did a fantastic job. And I mean, shit, you were all over TST stuff and Wrexham. But no, dude, it was awesome to see, because we were getting ready to warm up, and then all of a sudden you walk out and Wrexham playing it, like you said, the entire place was full of red jerseys. And it's just incredible because it felt like actual real match. I mean, like the intensity and just tackles being thrown. It was like, hey, you're playing for something. And it was just like pure enjoyment, but it was fun, man.
Was. And I know it's funny, but you know what it's like, Jeff. Once you get out on that pitch, you want to win, don't you? You go, it's a tournament, it is a bit more light-hearted, but once you're there on that pitch, it's hard to switch that.
Yeah, you can't. It's like you go right into that zone, and like, people listening and stuff like that. It's really hard when you're ingrained, like it's ingrained in you to compete every single day. You do it professionally for 20 years, but then you look at like your youth years, it's competition. You just want to win. You want to like play, and you want to get the best of your buddy. But it's like when you step on that pitch, it's like, all right, we're going to business. It's business time. So I love it, man. You know what it does? It keeps us young, keeps us going.
Definitely does. And that's why, I still play myself now, only at a semi-professional level, but I still love playing because it gives me that buzz. And I still work my week round to my match day on a weekend. I still wake up Monday morning, do what I'm going to eat, getting ready for the weekend. And
it's so crazy because like the transition of me just retiring this year, I have to keep the same structure in the schedule in my head because it's what I've known. So if I don't do it, I go like, I feel just blah. And I'm like, I feel useless. Like I don't have the energy about me. And I'm like, all right, now my English accent's coming out a little bit because I'm talking to a Brit. So, and I'm part English now because I got my citizenship. So cheers for that. But no, man, it's pretty cool, man.
Lee, so you mentioned you're still playing. You're an ambassador. Can you talk a little bit about the two endeavors that you're currently doing, both playing and, being a club ambassador, and how that's going?
Yeah, so I've been club ambassador since 2013. So a lot of my time will be going out into the schools, going out to different charity events, anything in the community that needs a bit of help or that needs a bit of awareness raising. I'll go along on that. And on match days, I'll wake up in the lounges and speak before the game at every home game. And then I'll still play as well. We find a lot of our games can be played on a Friday night. So I can play on Friday and then still work on a Saturday for Swans. But, I love playing. I'm 47 now. In my head, I want to try and go till I'm 50 at the level I am. Whether I will, I don't know. I'll just see how my body holds up. But then also on a Sunday, I will play for the over 40s and the over.
I love it, man. Keeps you going.
Well, as you say, Jeff, it's like it's all you've ever done. So it's it's hard to, once you stop. Then what do you do then? I think when I do stop, I will look into the more on the coaching side and try and get that, because when football's been my life, I want to still be involved in that buzz, because there's nothing better than what level you're playing at. When you're in that changing room, you come in and you've all worked hard to win the game. There's nothing better than that, and that's what I live for.
And you know what? That's the one thing I would say was like amazing, because some of the lads like Stephen Ireland and some of the guys that know coming from the UK, and just us spending time. Obviously, we shared a dressing room for 6-7 years with each other, and it's just that banter. For me, it was more like the English banter that I missed, the dry sense of humor, is straight to it, like cutthroat, and I love it because it's like, I get it here with Breck and here and there, like with your mates, but like it's nothing like it, and it's really hard to explain, because I don't think the Americans, or like they understand like that banter. But I think, obviously the Wrexham documentary, right? Like that shows a different side to football. Like there's, or what's the TV show that everybody talks about?
Ted Lasso.
Yeah, Ted Lasso. Like they're like, is that really how it is? I'm like, yeah, I lived that shit. Like that's actually true. And it's really, it's just fun, man. And it, like, those are the things you miss, just the one-off comments, and you're like, all right, you Muppet, like it's good fun, man. And I miss that. And that was the one of the coolest parts. You walk on the pitch and you're like just having a good time, But how do you know Joe Allen?
Yeah, I know Joe very well, at Swansea at the moment.
Yeah.
But when I at Swansea, Joe come up as a young lad. So first team where he was young, but straight away you could tell that he was going to go
ability.
And more of the older pros. He'd be passing balls into them hard, and if they'd had a bad touch, he'd be saying, "Get hold of it." And it's like, like, oh, we like this. That's
he's a good lad too. He's a good lad. I play with a few guys, Angel, and then Wilfred Boney. Yeah.
With Angel last week in the charity game. I haven't seen Wilfred for a while, but both of them are still looking fit, and Angel played really well.
But I'm sure he's still running in his place in Marbella, Mallorca, or whatever. He's got his place. So, he's a good dude, man. It's awesome to see if everybody keeps playing. It's the best part about it.
Yeah, really good.
Lee, my last question for you. I know Jeff may have another one or two. my favorite Lee Trundle video that I've ever seen is the penalty kick where you put the ball down and you kick it, while you're setting the ball down. How many times have you done that? Is that something you came up with, or is that something you saw someone else do?
So a player called Paul Gascoigne, he used to do it, but he never done it as a penalty. He'd do it where he was pretending to pick the ball up and he'd kick it away each time. So he'd like go and bend down and he'd kick it away and he'd kick it away. I sort of like, well, if you can do that, I think you can do a penalty. So I used to practice. I wouldn't try it in a real game, because if you miss,
you're getting loads of stick.
or something. But it was sort of, it was in a charity game. So then I just thought I'd try it. I think I'd already scored 6 goals as well. So if I would have missed it, it wouldn't have been too bad. It was then the last kick of the game. So I thought I'd try it, and luckily it went in, and then there was some guy filming it from behind, and then it just went viral after that.
That's pretty cool. It takes balls to do that, right?
Yeah, I think the way I played anyway, I would always try and do different things. I enjoy playing football that way. I enjoy playing on the edge, where if I made a mistake, I wouldn't let it bother me. I'd just go and try and get the ball again and make something happen. So that was something always in my mind, where I didn't fear losing the ball or giving it away. And I think it helped with the fans who was supporting me, because they would always give me that chance. If I did lose the ball, they would still clap.
Yeah.
So, well, I can go and get it. If they would have booed, maybe I wouldn't have tried it again. But they would always be behind me, and I felt whatever I'd done, if it come off or not, they'd always give me that chance to go and.
I got a question for you to follow up on that, with like your mindset and like how you grew up. How did you grow up falling in love with football? Like, what was your journey like? Did your father and mom take you to a football match, and you go to Wrexham and support them? Like, what was that kind of journey essentially?
So mine would have been Liverpool and Everton, who we would have went and watched, and mine would have been, especially when I was growing up, we had the 2 best teams in British football. Really, it was always them 2 who was challenging to win the league. It was Liverpool and Everton first or second, and in the cup finals and stuff. So that's what got me into it. Where I was from in Liverpool, it wasn't an area where there was a lot of money. So if we had our football and the field, that's all we done. We'd go over and we'd just play all day. And that was probably, the hours and hours that I would have put in without knowing, because back then there wasn't academies like there is every single day where people would go.
Yep.
I would just be over the field all the time and just playing football. So that was my background. I was very late turning professional as well. I didn't turn professional till I was 24. So I played in the semi-professional system in like the conference. So the league Wrexham was in last year.
Yeah.
I played in that and all the other leagues. I moved to the League of Wales, and then that's when Wrexham spotted me. They asked me to come training, but our chairman said, well, can we play a game against you so we can earn a bit of money on the gate, and then Lee can go training with you on Thursday. And then I think in that game, I scored a hat-trick against their first team. So I went and trained with them. And when I went into training, it wasn't like when I've been on trial before, because I think the lads seen what I could do, and there was that little bit of respect there, and they brought me in. And
you've kind of like passed the rite of passage, essentially. Like, oh, you're okay. You passed our test. Yeah.
Like, oh, another one. Here's another one. But I think because they'd seen me play, they sort of brought me into their lads group a little bit more, and played a game for the reserves on the Monday, scored 2, and then he signed me then on the Wednesday, and then that was where my journey started in professional football.
That's so funny, because I had to go through like the same kind of, like, you have to earn their respect. And so when I go to Stoke, I end up joining up with Stoke in like preseason in America. So I couldn't play in any of the preseason game until like our last one. We played Wolfsburg in Germany. So I'm training every single day, and I can't play in the preseason games. So we get to like the last one right before they kick off the season, and they're like, oh, you're allowed to play this game. So like all the eyes were on me, and they were like, okay, now it's your turn to perform. And I was like, shit. And I had a really good game. And then after that, all the lads were like talking to me, and they were like, "Oh, you're good. Like, you're all right. We'll talk to you now." And I was like, "All right, sweet, appreciate it." Like, thanks, I'm good now. And the guys were all like super like welcoming, and they were like started to talk to me and like gauge me a little bit more. They're like, "Yeah, you're all right. You're not this typical Yank," you know. But no, it's a really crazy feeling, because it is that acceptance. It's like, all right, you can deal with this.
It is, and I think because, you know, especially at a club like Stoke, where it, you know, at that level, with high level, where they would have people coming style all the time. So it's like conveyor belt of players coming in, where you might see them for 3 days, then they're gone, someone else. So I think then once they've seen you play and they realize you're a good player, it's like, oh well, he's here to stay. Do you know what I mean?
He's not going anywhere. What's your best part? Christmas do or end of season do?
I would have to say end of season do, because we would always go away on holiday then. So the Christmas do is only usually 1 or 2 nights. We just still enjoy. We'd always do fancy dress. So that's a good end of the season do. I like that, because you know you go away for probably 4 days together, so you'd have a better time, and
good banter
done as well.
Well, Lee, before we get you out of here, is there anything else that you want the TST world, the Sevens Club world to know about you, your football life, anything like that? And is it safe to say, if Wrexham's back in TST, you will be there as well?
Yeah, well, there's a bit of news where Swansea get interested as well now.
Ooh, this could be a big turning point here. Can't play for two sides.
The big thing where you've got me 2 clubs, Wrexham and Swansea. So Swansea have been, I know there's been talks where they've spoke about coming. So if Swansea were to come to the tournament as well, that would be excellent. And we would obviously be bringing some new players to it as well. And I've spoke very highly of it, said how great the tournament was run, how brilliant it was, an experience. So, fingers crossed we might be seeing 2
1/2 for Wrexham, 1/2 for Swansea. Right? I'll have to first time it's ever happened. Like, here you go. He's on Wrexham, scores 2, goes to Swansea, scores 2, game's tied. Who are you gonna go with? Who team are you gonna go with?
It's whoever offers him more of the million. Whoever offers him a higher percentage.
Higher percentage, yeah.
Wrexham was obviously where I started off. I had great times there, but with my connection at Swansea and the way I am, I'm a Jack. So Swansea.
He's dangling the carrot right here.
Well, Lee, this was great. We appreciate you stopping by. Jeff, anything else?
No, man, it was pleasure talking to you, man, and looking forward to meeting in person, mate.
Jeff, thank you, mate. Nice speaking to you.
Talk soon.